The story of Serena Williams is often told through the staggering statistics of her career. 23 Grand Slam singles titles, 4 Olympic gold medals, and over 2 decades spent at the pinnacle of her sport. But to understand the magnitude of those achievements, one must begin not on the manicured lawns of Wimbledon, but on the cracked and weathered public courts of Compton, California. This was the unlikely proving ground for a champion whose journey was orchestrated with a blend of audacious vision, relentless discipline, and a family's unwavering belief. Serena was born on September 26, 1981, in Saginaw, Michigan, but her destiny was shaped by her family's move to Compton while she was still an infant. Compton, in the 1980s, was a community known more for its socioeconomic challenges than for producing tennis prodigies. It was here that her father, Richard Williams, a man with no background in the sport, saw a future for his daughters that defied all convention. Richard's approach was methodical and unorthodox. Long before Serena or her older sister Venus ever picked up a racket, he had meticulously written a 78-page plan outlining their path to tennis greatness. He studied the game through instructional videos and books, absorbing strategies and techniques he would then impart to his young daughters. He wasn't merely teaching them to hit a ball, he was building them into warriors for a world they had not yet entered. The training regimen on those Compton courts was grueling. For hours each day, amidst the backdrop of a tough neighborhood, the two sisters drilled, their father overseeing every stroke. The sound of gunfire sometimes punctuated their practice sessions, a stark reminder of the environment they were striving to transcend. Richard and their mother, Oracene Price, served as a formidable team. Richard was the architect of their games and their fierce competitive spirit, while Oracene provided the technical fine-tuning, emotional stability, and the quiet, powerful strength that grounded them. Together they forged a family unit that was both a fortress and a launch pad. A critical and often debated part of Richard's strategy was his deliberate shielding of the girls from the junior tennis circuit. He watched other young phenoms burn, out from the pressure of early fame and intense competition, and he was determined to protect his daughters from the same fate. This decision meant that Serena and Venus were often isolated from the traditional tennis establishment, a move that fostered an unparalleled sibling bond and a self-reliance that would become a hallmark of their careers. They learned to compete, first and foremost with and against each other, building a mental fortitude that would later intimidate opponents on the world stage. When Serena did turn professional at the age of 14, she entered the scene with a power and athleticism that was immediately disruptive. While her sister Venus was the first to make significant waves on the professional tour, it wasn't long before Serena carved out her own identity. Her breakthrough arrived in 1999 at the U.S. Open. At just 17 years old, she powered through the draw, culminating in a victory over world number 1 Martina Hingis in the final. That win was more than just a first major title. It was a declaration. It announced the arrival of a new force in tennis, one who combined raw power with a fierce will to win. Her playing style was a revelation, a devastating serve that remains one of the greatest the women's game has ever seen, blistering ground strokes, hit with immense pace, and a court coverage that defied physics. This victory in Flushing Meadows was the spark that ignited one of the most dominant stretches in sporting history. What followed was a career of sustained excellence that few athletes ever achieve. She completed the Serena Slam, holding all 4 major titles at once, not once, but twice. Her rivalries, particularly those with her sister Venus, became iconic, must-see events that transcended the sport itself. Her 23 Grand Slam singles titles are a record for the Open era, a testament to her ability to win on every surface. The hard courts of Melbourne and New York, the clay of Paris, and the grass of Wimbledon, and across generations of competitors. Beyond the sheer number of trophies, her career is defined by its longevity. She won Grand Slam titles in 3 different decades, a feat that underscores her ability to adapt, evolve, and overcome injuries, personal struggles, and the constant pressure of being the player everyone aimed to defeat. Ultimately, Serena's origin story is not merely one of athletic talent. It is a narrative about the power of a defiant dream. It is about a father who looked at the cracked courts of Compton and saw a path to Wimbledon, and a mother who ensured her daughters never lost sight of their worth. It is about a sisterhood that provided both competition and unconditional support. The grit, patience, and unshakable self-belief forged in those early years became the foundation for a legacy that would forever change the face of tennis, inspiring a generation to believe that they too could belong in spaces once closed to them. The love story of Serena Williams and Alexis Ohanian is a modern tale of connection that proves destiny can be found in the most ordinary of moments. They met not through curated celebrity circles, but by chance at a hotel in Rome in 2015. Serena, then at the height of her tennis career, was in the city for a tournament. Alexis, the co-founder of the massive online community Reddit, was a tech entrepreneur from a world that seemed galaxies apart from the disciplined rigors of professional sports. Their paths collided over a casual breakfast at a shared outdoor table. The encounter was initially quiet, but a conversation sparked, revealing an immediate and unexpected chemistry. Despite their vastly different professional landscapes, hers of Grand Slams and global fame, his of startups and digital frontiers, they discovered a common ground of ambition, intellect, and a desire for a genuine partnership. Their relationship progressed with a quiet intensity that soon became public. In a deeply romantic gesture, Alexis proposed in December 2016 back at the very same Rome hotel where they had first met, weaving their future into the fabric of their origin story. The birth of their daughter, Alexis Olympia Ohanian Jr., in September 2017 was followed by a wedding that was a spectacle of pure joy. Their New Orleans ceremony, with its Beauty and the Beast theme, was a dreamscape of fairy tale romance. Yet what resonated most profoundly was the palpable, grounded love between them. The way they looked at each other spoke of a deep, mutual respect that transcended the glamour of the event itself. What defines their partnership is a foundation of unwavering mutual support. Alexis, who knew little about tennis before meeting Serena, transformed into her most vocal champion, his proud presence in the player's box becoming a familiar and heartfelt image. He famously advocated for her and all female athletes by ensuring he received equal pay for his parental leave, turning a personal decision into a public statement on gender equality. In turn, Serena championed his ventures in tech and his advocacy for diversity and inclusion within the industry. When Alexis was diagnosed with Lyme disease, Serena seamlessly shifted into the role of caregiver and pillar of strength, just as he had been for her during her own harrowing health crises after childbirth. This reciprocity is the bedrock of their union. They have masterfully built a life where two powerhouse careers do not compete, but coexist, prioritizing their family with a fierce protectiveness. Their love story is less about a fairy tale romance, and more a powerful testament to what a modern partnership can be, a true alliance of equals, built on advocacy, shared values, and the quiet, steady work of showing up for one another day after day. Behind the thunderous serves and triumphant roars that defined Serena Williams' public persona lay a private, grueling reality of physical pain that spanned the entirety of her storied career. The very attributes that made her game so dominant, explosive, power, aggressive court coverage, and a relentless will to hit every ball with maximum force, exacted a heavy toll on her body. For over 2 decades, the wear and tear accumulated, transforming her into an athlete as familiar with the physio's table as she was with the winner's podium. Her knees, crucial for her powerful ground strokes and serves, were a persistent source of trouble, plagued by chronic inflammation and tendinitis that forced her to withdraw from tournaments and undergo repeated rounds of rehabilitation. Similarly, her shoulders and back, the engines of her legendary power, frequently succumbed to the strain, with debilitating spasms and stiffness, sometimes leaving her barely able to compete. What truly set Serena apart, however, was her profound mastery of playing through this pain. Chronic discomfort became a constant, unwelcome companion, a background hum she learned to operate through. She often spoke of waking up in pain, of having to will her body through training sessions and matches when every movement was a reminder of its fragility. This was not a fleeting struggle, but a career-long negotiation. Her dedication was a double-edged sword. The same resilience that allowed her to win the 2007 Australian Open, virtually unseated while battling a series of injuries, also meant pushing her body beyond its limits, often deepening the underlying issues. The mental fortitude required for this was immense. The pressure to perform, to meet the sky-high expectations of a global audience, was compounded by the private knowledge that her physical foundation was perpetually vulnerable. She had to manage, not just her opponents across the net, but the silent, gnawing anxiety about whether her body would hold up for one more point, one more game, one more tournament. In her later years, Serena became increasingly vocal about this hidden struggle, pulling back the curtain on the true cost of longevity in a brutal sport. She revealed the emotional exhaustion that accompanied the physical agony, the doubt, the frustration, and the loneliness of carrying such a burden. By sharing this, she performed a crucial service to athletes everywhere, destigmatizing conversations about chronic pain and mental health in sports. She demonstrated that strength is not the absence of suffering, but the courage to endure it, and the wisdom to listen when one's body finally demands rest. Her career, therefore, stands as a testament not only to superhuman achievement, but also to a profoundly human endurance. A reminder that every one of her 23 Grand Slam titles was forged as much in the quiet, painful hours of recovery as in the glorious spotlight of victory. The birth of Serena Williams' daughter, Olympia, in September 2017 was meant to be a celebratory milestone, but it swiftly transformed into one of the most harrowing and transformative battles of her life. The ordeal began when the baby's heart rate dropped dangerously during contractions, necessitating an emergency C-section. While Olympia was born healthy, Serena's own crisis began just 24 hours later. As a survivor of a pulmonary embolism in 2011, she was acutely aware of the symptoms, and when she felt a sudden, severe shortness of breath, she immediately knew she was in grave danger. What followed was a terrifying fight to be heard. Despite her history and her clear articulation of the problem, medical staff initially dismissed her concerns, attributing her distress to pain medication or post-operative confusion. Serena, lying vulnerable in a hospital bed, had to become her own most powerful advocate, insisting on a CT scan and heparin, a blood thinner. Her persistence saved her life. The scan revealed several blood clots had traveled to her lungs. This was only the beginning of a cascade of complications. The powerful blood thinners necessary to treat the embolism caused her to cough violently, which tore open the incision from her C-section. This led to further surgeries and a return to the operating room to insert a filter into a major vein, a preventative measure to stop more clots from reaching her heart and lungs. The first 6 weeks of her daughter's life, a period meant for bonding and joy, were instead spent bedridden, navigating a labyrinth of surgeries, wound care, and profound physical agony. The emotional toll was immense. She later confessed that the trauma was so severe, it overshadowed the happiness of new motherhood, plunging her into a state of fear and survival mode. This personal near-death experience ignited a powerful mission within her. Serena learned a chilling statistic. In the United States, Black women are nearly 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes than white women. Her own story laid bare the terrifying truth that even her vast wealth, fame, and access to top-tier healthcare could not fully shield her from the systemic biases that plague maternal healthcare. She realized that if she could be ignored in a hospital room, any woman could. Turning her trauma into advocacy, she used her platform to become a formidable voice for Black maternal health. She penned powerful op-eds and gave candid interviews, detailing her experience not for sympathy, but as a call to action. She urged women, especially women of color, to trust their bodies and be unrelenting in demanding care. More importantly, she called upon the medical establishment to listen, to believe Black women when they say something is wrong. Her bravery in sharing this vulnerable story transformed a personal nightmare into a public crusade, shining a stark light on a national health crisis and empowering countless others to speak up, ensuring their voices are heard in their most critical moments. Serena Williams' official step away from professional tennis in 2022 was not an end, but a strategic pivot, a redirecting of her formidable energy from dominating one arena to transforming several others. Her retirement, framed as an evolution, opened a new chapter defined by the same ambition that propelled her on the court, now channeled into business, family, and advocacy. The foundation for this next act had been carefully laid years earlier with the creation of Serena Ventures. Her firm, which deliberately invests in founders who are often overlooked by traditional venture capital, women, people of color, and immigrants, has become a powerful extension of her life's work. She doesn't merely provide capital. She actively works to democratize opportunity, building a portfolio that reflects the diverse and innovative future she wants to see. This isn't a passive retirement hobby. It's a mission-driven business with a scope that now spans fintech, climate technology, and healthcare, proving her acumen extends far beyond the baseline. This transition was also shaped by profound personal health experiences that deepened her focus on family and advocacy. Shortly before her retirement, a scare with a benign branchial cleft cyst, a lump in her neck, served as a stark reminder of her own vulnerability. Though the diagnosis was not cancerous, the emotional turmoil of the what-if period resonated deeply, reinforcing her commitment to health and wellness. Simultaneously, her family faced another challenge when her husband, Alexis Ohanian, was diagnosed with Lyme disease. Watching him navigate the debilitating fatigue, brain fog, and chronic pain of the illness, Serena stepped into the role of caregiver, a reversal of the support he had provided her during her own health crises. Together, they chose to speak openly about his battle, using their platform to shed light on the misunderstood and often invisible struggles of chronic illness, further solidifying their partnership as one built on mutual resilience in the face of adversity. Now, freed from the grueling physical demands of the tour, Serena is fully embodying this multifaceted new identity. She is a hands-on CEO, a dedicated mother, and a global icon using her influence with purpose. She continues to lead in the fashion world with her inclusive clothing lines, and her philanthropic efforts in education and gender equality have only intensified. Her post-tennis life is a masterclass in leveraging a platform for greater impact. She is not just playing the game anymore. She is changing it, building a legacy that will be measured not only in Grand Slam titles, but in the number of startups she helps thrive, the conversations about health and equality she propels forward, and the powerful example she sets of a life lived with intention, strength, and boundless evolution.